Talk to me about charitable assumptions. Because I think that's a masterful, it's a masterful gift for the person you're in a relationship with, but I think it's also a masterful gift for ourselves.
Yeah. So charitable assumption is one of my favorite expressions from my longtime boss and forever mentor, Danny Meyer. It's one of his isms to me, and give people the benefit of the doubt or ask the question before you say the thing. One of the things I believe strongly is addressing things as they come up in work and in life. I think the worst leaders oftentimes are good people who are just inconsistent in how they deal with problems, and so problems mount and become emotional even when they're unemotional things. So you need to address stuff consistently, quickly. But in order for criticism, which is ultimately what it is, to be constructive, it needs to be thoughtful. And one of the rules of criticism that I really feel strongly about is the charitable assumption, which is ask the question before you say the thing. This is in service and leadership. If a guest comes into a restaurant and they're acting like a jerk, it's totally natural and completely human to decide they no longer deserve our most loving hospitality.
Right.
They don't deserve it. They're acting like a jerk. The charitable assumption would have you say, wait, maybe they're acting like a jerk because on their way to the restaurant tonight, they found out that their wife was just diagnosed with brain cancer.
Right.
And maybe the person that we are inclined to think doesn't deserve our most loving hospitality actually needs it more than anyone else in the room.
Anybody, that's right.
Now, sometimes they end up just being a jerk.
That's right.
But, I mean, I can't imagine anyone not agreeing with the following statement, that you'd rather err on the side of assuming the best and being wrong than assuming the worst and being wrong.
Oh, man, yeah.
And so the charitable assumption, it's in how you serve people. It's in how you lead people. Someone comes in late and you can say, why are you late? As opposed to, hey, are you okay?
Yes, yeah.
And they maybe say, yeah, I'm okay. I just wanted to get a massage on the way to work. And then, okay, now that's a different conversation.
We can't work here. Yeah.
And I think it applies to, gosh, our kids, our friends, our partners.
Yeah. That the game changer for me was finding out that the stories we make up about other people have a physiological consequence. When I start to see the towels on the floor and I think, my wife just left them there.
Yeah.
Oh, she left them there, dude. Okay, I get your mess.
Yeah.
My body doesn't know that I'm not in a real fight. So it floods it with all the cortisol and adrenaline. It's ready to it's go time.
Yeah.
And then she walks in and I've been in a fight for 45 minutes with her. She has no idea, right? It's this strange, instead of that.
You're going into the 8th round of the fight and she's just walking into the ring and she's like, wait, what?
She's back she's under the arena, right? Looking for the snack, the catering. But there's that, seeing those towels and thinking, good God, what must have her day been like?
Yeah.
And I just pick them up. I had somebody call my show recently and he's talking about coming home to his house and he works so late and so hard and his wife has a toddler in the house and it's just not clean anymore. I was like, bro, just walk in and pick up a vacuum, man. Like for what? Assume that the day was crazy. Don't do that. Well, mine was probably like, or I love how you said that, just have the conversation up front, because I've been guilty of not saying anything, and then there's a shoe. And I'm like, the shoe! And everybody's bewildered, right? Because it's just a shoe. Or my poor kids. My wife has some context because she didn't know she married a kind of an emotional goofball, but it's my kids that I don't say anything. They're late, we're running behind, they didn't clean up the room, they don't. And then I just come unhinged off something little, and they're like trying to figure out Dad, and that scale seems to be off to get that mad over this, right? Or that frustrated.
Well, so many people want to be cool. They want to be liked. They don't want to and so you just avoid the conversation because you think it's going to be awkward or tense or I always use the example I always use in management. Someone comes in, their shirt is wrinkled. Mm-hmm. And you're like, yeah, but they just started here. I don't want them to think I'm like an annoying manager, and you don't say anything. And then finally, 3 weeks in, their shirt's wrinkled. You're like, they don't care about me. They don't care about the excellence of this establishment. They're doing this as a little passive aggressive way to stick it to the man, and then you blow off the handle when maybe no one ever told them it was important to iron their shirt.
Yeah.
And like with the towel on the ground in the bathroom, there's like a hierarchy of assumptions. They're a slob.
Yeah.
They're angry at me. This is like their way of communicating it to me. Charitable assumption is, gosh, I wonder if they were getting out of the shower and our kid fell and they had to run across the house naked just to help our child. And maybe I could just hang up the towel.
I'm just going to towel.
But if it's every single day, maybe they just don't know that it's something that bothers you. And you could just say, hey, babe, like, I know this is weird and I don't want to be like annoying, but could you just hang up the towel?
Right.
And oftentimes, like, we've had that in my marriage where she'll say something and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's so easy.
It's
if
easy.
I'm doing this little thing that's upsetting you and I could easily change it, of course.
Yes.
And it's a gift
That's
to me because now I can serve her in like this new way.
Yeah. And it's also a gift because I've come to believe that secrets kill relationships. They just destroy them. And whether it's business partnerships or relationships, romantic, kids, whatever. And if you've just picked up a towel and you haven't said anything, and I don't know why with our marriages they get so existential so fast.
Yeah.
If you were at my house and I left a towel, or you left a towel on the floor, I'd be like, Will, quit being a slob. And I'd put it up, and then be like, hey, where are we going to go eat?
But the person that you were closest to in the world.
It's this, what is she trying to say? And it's so existential and dramatic. And that's me. But if she walks in the bathroom and I've just picked her towel up, she knows. She can feel it. There's something. And by me not addressing it as a way to get back, right? It's my way to throw a secret punch like a ghost punch. It's just everything. It's just to use your words, unreasonable. It's just a decision to live a little bit more miserably. I don't think we need that.
I was spending time with Tim Hortons. You know, Tim Hortons. It's like this Canadian coffee and donut chain.
Oh yeah.
Really,
okay,
really good
yeah,
stuff.
Yeah.
And I did like a whole talk about unreasonable hospitality. And one of the questions from one of the people that work there is like, okay, yeah, but you have 3 hours with people. Like our exchanges are super, super quick. Like how can you be unreasonably hospitable? And I answered it in 2 ways. The first way though is this. I took a flight. Me and my family went from New York to Seattle and back. My daughter was 3. She had just turned 3 at the time. On our way there, you know, the gate agent that checks your ticket, you're with that person for a split second, right? And the woman on the way there, it was just something had gone wrong in her day. Charitable assumption. And we're halfway down the gate bridge, and my daughter says to me, Daddy, why is she so mad? And we get in the plane, going. On the way back, this woman, something had gone right in her day, or she was just one of the most lovely people. Because we do the quick check-in, halfway down the gate bridge, my daughter says to my wife, Mommy, is that your friend?
Wow.
And so this is a 3-year-old with a stranger. And the energy exchange in a split-second interaction made her think one person was really mad and the other was my wife's friend. So, okay, if you're thinking about just hospitality and business, yeah, you can make a real impact without even doing anything. It's just about the energy you put out into the world. But now you take that and you bring it to marriage. If my 3-year-old daughter could feel that from a stranger, what do you think my grown-up wife, you don't think she's going to feel it from the person that she knows better than anyone in the world? And yet, we believe that we can be thinking something and they don't know it.
Oh, yeah.
Which is an insane display of self-deception.
I think it'd be cruel. I think it's cruel.
Yeah.
Right? To send my wife on a story-making up adventure to figure out what's wrong with her husband.
But by the way, I do it sometimes. Like,
I do it all the time.
Like something will happen and I'm not ready to talk about it. Which, by the way, I do think there's merit there. I do think sometimes like you need to find...
I'm not going to be a good version of myself in this, so I'm going to take a break.
And I want to get it right.
Yeah.
But I do think that's what you should say.
That's right.
Hey, what's going on? When you're not yet ready to talk, we say, nothing, I'm good.
Yeah.
And by the way, how I just said it is how every human being in the world says nothing, I'm good, when
there's something.
When there's something and they're not good.
Right.
As opposed to saying, hey, we're good. there's a little something, but can you just give me a little bit of time? Because I want to make sure I find the right words to get it out.
That's it. Yeah. And I think most people don't realize that that gift is to their partner, but that's also a gift to yourself.
Yeah.
Because you just exhale.
Because now you know,
carry this thing around.
Now you know, like
It's out.
okay, now we're going down the ski slope.
Yeah.
I always talk about that, like even with taking risks in business. Like sometimes you're at the top of like a double diamond,
Yeah.
and all you got to do is put your poles in the snow and just push. Then you're going to get down. You might be a little bruised by the time you get down, but that is all you need to do just to start. And sometimes,
Dang. Tell me about your disdain for the words "I can't."
that's my dad. My dad has a disdain for the words "I can't." This is what's so funny. Like you think about all the things. Or I don't know. I should just make it about me. I don't want to assume. There's a bunch of stuff that my dad made me do or stuff that he pushed onto me that I found so annoying when I was a child. And I am so profoundly grateful to him for now.
Yeah.
And it makes me realize that if I'm not doing some things that are annoying to my children, I am not actually being a good dad.
That's right. Or if you're not peppering them with these life lessons.
Yeah.
That they're like, ugh.
But dude, my dad made me journal my entire,
What?
yeah. The moment I started working, he made me journal every day after I got
They
home
need
from
to
work.
donate his heart and mind to science.
Well, because he said perspective has an expiration date. And he wanted me to be an empathetic leader one day. And you're a busboy. When you become a server, your greatest superpower is that you can see the world through the eyes of a busboy. So you're a more empathetic server. But after 5-6 months, you can't do it anymore. That perspective's gone. So he wanted me to always document my perspective such that one day I could reread those journal entries and tap back into it. I hated writing those journals. I'm so grateful that I did. And now I do it joyfully on my own accord. I can't. You know, you start saying that when you get to a certain age. And my dad just never wanted that to be my thing. He gave me a paperweight when I was a kid. I have it on my desk today. It says, what would you attempt to do if you knew you could not fail? He has challenged me over and over again to just answer that question honestly. And whatever that answer is, just to try to do that. And he always says that far too many people, they're like scared to say their biggest goals out loud for fear that if they do and don't achieve them, they'll let themselves and probably as importantly, the people around them down. But he'd always say like, hey, if you don't say this stuff, you're never going to achieve it. And so like that idea of believing in yourself, confidence, it was always just something that was really important to him. So when I started saying, I can't, I forget how old I was, he printed up these little fortune cookie size pieces of paper saying, success comes in cans, failure comes in cans.
Nice.
Which was so intense for a kid my age. And hid them everywhere. So like I'd like put on a pair of underwear and I'd be like, what is this? And it'd be like that piece of paper.
Oh, he hid him in your stuff.
All over my stuff, everywhere in the house.
Who is this guy?
And I say the story now that I'm like saying it out loud to you in this room, like, man, that was like that was a little too intense. But I actually don't think it was. Like, I'm so grateful for it. And so, yeah, I try really hard to kind of instill that in the people around me too. Like we are capable of so much more than we think we are. You bring it back to like what you said about marriages and people feeling like their tank is empty on their marriage, that the marriage has run its course, run out of gas. Like, no, it is that because you've decided you can't make it work.
Or you won't, yeah.
You won't.
Yeah.
But what we're telling ourselves is I can't.
Right.
You won't because you've convinced yourself you can't.
Yeah.
And I think we can do much more than we think we can do. And it just starts by dropping that word. And
bringing it back to your dad, I hadn't thought about this, but I go back to my parents, and I've talked about them ad nauseum on the show, but the two things I learned from my parents, my dad being a SWAT guy, like when things get bad, you go in. So what you do. And my mom going to school at 42, and then now she's in her 70s. She would retire, but now she's back to being a professor still. There's no such thing as you're too old, you can't, it's not for you. Like there's no such thing as that. You just go figure that out. And when I think about your dad, he told you that and printed off notes But you have this like blueprint of a guy that did.
Yeah.
He did raise an amazing son who never 1 second didn't believe he wasn't loved. And he did teach his kid what the word fidelity and what integrity actually, like, not how you talk about it, but here's what this looks like. And he did, was a successful restaurateur and was a successful business. Like we say that all the time, more is caught than taught, but he gave you a picture of what. There's just, you can.
But also was there to like still hold me and love me when I messed up and did something stupid. And like, I think what my dad did.
But accountability can be a gift inside of a relationship, right?
Yeah, accountability doesn't mean you hold someone accountable by turning your back on them when they don't live
you
up
embrace
to
them tighter.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Even if I have to embrace you as an employee and say, now's not a good time for you to be here, right? And I remember used to telling my students, I'd catch them with drugs. I'm like, you can't sell drugs here. The most graceful thing I can do for you right now is to say, not right now. You need to leave school. Like,
my job is to.
That's the greatest gift I can give you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but I think what he did, what I think you're doing, this is not pandering. I really do believe strongly what I'm about to say. So I'm about to praise you. So just like prepare yourself.
I accepted it, but I'm very uncomfortable already.
I think we're in a place where being intentional and thoughtful around vulnerability and pursuit and emotionally connecting and investing in people, like there's a lot of people out there that like say it's not manly or like my dad was as much of a man as you could be, like military, won 6 Bronze Stars, varsity lacrosse, but still like leaned in and pursued like a proper relationship in all of the ways that we're kind of talking about today.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing especially like right now. And I think you're like carrying the flag in a beautiful way to show you can be like a man's man. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean you can't be emotionally in touch with yourself and endeavor to be emotionally in touch with the people around you.
Yeah. In fact, I think it's for me, it's been, I trained with MMA fighters for a while. I hunt, right? I'd much rather dress out an elk and carry it out of 2 miles up and down mountains than to sit down with my son and say, hey man, I'm sorry, I was wrong. One of those is, or my wife especially, like, hey, I totally blew this. Over the last 9 months, I've blown this and I'm sorry. That's way on the manliness scale from like, I do hard things. It's way easier to go lift and go do jujitsu. It just is.
Then you ultimately wake up one day and you realize that actually that's the only way to truly be like the most manly man you want to be.
That's it. Is to say, how can I love you today? Yeah. That's hard. That's hard for me. And so if I'm looking around the scope of my life for what's the hardest thing I can do, it's that, right? With the biggest payoff as well. When you, as a guy who's been in the work, you've been training and leading people, are you optimistic? All I hear is negativity, and I've been out of the classroom long enough now that 5 years and being out of the university system for 5 years is ages, right?
Yeah.
Are you optimistic about new workers coming in, younger workers coming in? There's so much bad press on work ethic, on character, on like this and that and this and that. And I've got my thoughts and opinions on it, but you're in it. You see it.
Yeah, I'm super optimistic.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are complaining a lot about Gen Z because almost the love languages. They are leading that generation in the way that they once wanted to be led, as opposed to understanding what their love language is, what their leadership language is, and contouring their leadership. Like a leader.
No, a leader's supposed to dictate to everyone around them how they want to be loved, Will.
Right? And it's kind of wild to me. Like a great leader what does the word mean? You are a leader of people. That means you need to get to know people and figure out how to motivate them in a way that is unique to them. That is hospitality and leadership.
That's it, yeah.
And in the same way that you can't love everyone in the same way and expect every one of those people to feel loved, it's not dissimilar when it comes to leadership. Now, it's especially exaggerated when it becomes a generational thing. And I think a lot of the people that are frustrated should be just as frustrated with themselves because they're not actually compelling themselves to learn new tricks.
Yes.
That's what I believe. Like, and when I think about what leadership, like, the reality is, like, once upon a time, being a great leader meant you were the person with the confidence and conviction to say, this is where we're going. People crave convicted leadership.
Yep.
And then Simon Sinek came around. That wasn't enough anymore. People wanted to be told where they were going, and they wanted to be inspired why they should want to go there. And I just don't think that's enough anymore, especially for these younger generations. They want to be told where they're going, inspired why they should want to go there, but they also want a seat at the table and helping to figure out how to get there. And we can call that entitled, or we can embrace it, recognizing that, okay, we can probably learn a lot from them if we give them a seat, and we're going to get a lot more out of them. And they're going to feel that much more of a sense of loyalty and dedication to the spirit of our collective endeavor. And at the end of the day, leadership is service. In the same way that I'm not going to serve a filet mignon to a vegetarian, I need to lead this generation in the way that they want to be led.
And the way they can hear it.
Yeah. And by the way, this is not like, it's not meant to be a monologue in the other direction. You don't just like bend over backwards.
Sure.
But hospitality is a dialogue, and it's about making it a meaningful conversation.
I remember that what I would say is probably the single greatest gift that was given to me professionally was by one of my forever mentors, John Noel Thompson. And he said, I see something special in you, but you're not there yet. So here's what we're going to do. You need to learn how to speak CFO, and you don't. And you need to learn how to speak president, and you don't. And you need to learn how to speak these positions. And so you're going to start coming to me with these meetings, and you're going to sit in there, and you're not going to say anything. You're going to listen. You're going to watch. And that experience over the next X number of years was the greatest gift, because it was my quote-unquote entitled, I want to be in that room. I want to hear what's going on. Okay, you can come. And there's some boundaries to this. It's not a free-for-all. And I think he would tell you, when I'd come out and say, why don't we do it like this? There's several times he was like, all right, that's a new idea. I hadn't thought of it. You know what I mean? And so it was a mutual good that raised everybody up. But it was a very different, I'm the boss and you will sit there and I will tell you when it's your turn.
Sure.
And again, I go back to, you write about this so eloquently, but what a waste of human.
Yeah.
Like, I've employed you, all of you, but just to utilize you for this one thing is such a waste.
Yeah, everyone has much more than that to give.
Yeah. It's amazing.